Hey everybody, Bandicoot Commando here, and welcome back to Marvel Rivals. Last time, I showed off gameplay of the Hood. Um, Parker plays pretty well. Like, he's got some good gameplay to him, and his ability to, fully power himself up once you've filled up his demon meter, whatever it is, it's pretty handy too. His ultimate, I feel, I don't know, staying put is one thing. I can completely accept that, where he has to be perfectly, rooted wherever he is. But the fact that he only has a limited amount of shots, I feel like he needs to be less of a cannon in his ultimate and more like just a machine gun. But that's just me. Overall, he was pretty okay to play around with. So, today, we got some lore stories to read. Before I begin, what was it I wanted to show? There was something I wanted to show or talk about. Oh, events. The Death of Apocalypse. So, these are pages to a lore story, and so is this, I believe. Yeah, basically, this one goes into detail on what killed Apocalypse. And as for what killed him, well, I'll have to share that when we eventually get to doing the gallery images. But yeah, there's a few new things going on. I went back to the Age of Ultron event, and I was able to complete it on hard difficulty, so now all I have to do is unlock the, okay, yeah. All I gotta do is just unlock the titles if I wanted to, but I'm not interested in that. Right now, I'm just interested... Oh, so that's where I was seeing it. Because the last time I was on the Age of Ultron event, I was seeing this skin of Hawkeye, and I'm like, where's this skin from? I didn't know it was new. Didn't know we had a new Hawkeye skin running around. But yeah. Some new things going on. Lots of stuff up here. Oh, I forgot. There's this with Spider-Man here. How many days does it say? Does it even say how many days are left for it? Oh, wait, hang on. There we go. Put it on new. For 19 days, it says. Okay, well, I will look into getting that brand new day Spider-Man skin, just so that I can have all the Spider-Man skins available, and then yeah, I can continue with what I'm doing. Anyway, so today, with lore stories. So here's the thing. There are only 2 new lore stories now that with the second half of Season 9. Obviously, the Hood is one of them, but we're not going to be doing the Hood today. Instead, we are doing Moon Knight. Don't mind the fact he's in his Mr. Knight skin. This was when I was playing around in Blood Hunt with him and trying to grind on chrono tokens. Now, here's the thing. What skins of Moon Knight did I have the last time I ever did, when I did that lore story of him long, long ago? I say it as if it happened many years ago, but it only happened like last year, if anything. Let's see. List. Rivals. It still feels weird when I look back at these, and it's only been, for some of them now, it's only been like 2 years. Okay, the matches. This is when I did matches. This was early of last year. Here we are, lore. Yeah, it was last year that I did Moonlight's lore story. Eh? What? Where is he? Oh, there he is. Yeah, it was May of last year. May of last year when I uploaded that video. Alright, let me see. what skins that I had of him at that time. If I had any, that is. Okay, all I had was just the Blood Moon Knight skin. I didn't have any of these others. So, let me just equip the Blood Moon Knight skin and read everything else. Did I... Yeah, okay. Just going through that. The Lunar General. Far to the southwest lies Kunlun, the esteemed earthly capital of the divine cities, guarded by deities and dragons alike. This guardian, with a human body and a dragon's face, clad in azure scales, stands as the majestic protector of the Moon Palace and an invincible general against evil. Suave Spectre. This honestly feels more like a Mr. Knight skin, if anything. A little obstitious. Is that obstinaneous? I think that's how you say it. A little obstinaneous, sure, but I have to admit, that old bird Khonshu might actually have some taste. The Moon Knight mech, which came from an episode of Season 3 of What If, Khonshu says, "Light him up." I don't remember the context, because to be honest, I have not seen Season 3 of What If, but I believe this has something to do with, I want to say it either has something to do with the Avengers, and that Moon Knight just somehow gets involved with that, but I don't quite remember. More like I don't know, to tell the truth. Let me click that out since I don't need that. Okay, next up. The King of Clubs. How many thrones have been toppled by the fist of justice in all these years? Have we not seen it time and again? That comes from the match, the chess match that the Grandmaster and the Collector had back in Season 5. Eclipse Knight. He stood for moonlit justice, but the nightmare gnaws at him. With fading hope, he calls to Khonshu. But is Khonshu even there? This was important because at least before the events of Season 9 here, nobody in the actual lore of Marvel Rivals, Khonshu went silent all of a sudden, at least up till now. Mr. Knight. You prey on innocent travelers at night. That's all I care about. All I'm doing is stopping you as simply and completely as possible. Phoenix Knight. My name is Mark Spector, the Fist of the Phoenix. Basically, where I believe the idea is that Mark was still empowered by Khonshu, but then he became a host avatar for the Phoenix Force. Or at least, or alternatively, that the Phoenix Force granted him some of its power and made him, well, into the Phoenix Knight. The Fist of Vengeance, which this is based on how he appears in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Then rise. Rise and live again, as my Fist of Vengeance, as my Moon Knight. And we have the Fist of Khonshu here, which I want to say, without reading that description, this is basically what if Khonshu took up to being Moon Knight when he really should, to be honest. I'm going to put it back on this one. Okay, here we are with the new lore story, The Faces of the Moon. I appreciate that you both were willing to meet with me here tonight, Mark Spector said. Where else were we gonna be? Jake Lockley asked. We're three alternate personalities living inside of the same head. Speaking of which, Stephen Grant said, I thought we had an agreement. Jake and I would stay back as long as you didn't cross the line. We thought you wanted a strong hand on the tiller. The problem is, Mark responded, I'm not sure there is a line anymore. What do you mean? Stephen asked. Last time I checked, slaughtering vampires still didn't count as genocide. Any updates on that? As long as Mark's the one who washes the blood out of our costume, Jake said, I've got no reason to complain. I'm afraid we got blood on more than just our costume, Mark said solemnly. We've got it dripping from our hands. Nothing new there, Stephen said, shaking his head. Except this time, Mark continued. It could be the blood of millions. What the hell are you talking about? Jake demanded. Do either of you remember the Hood? Mark asked. That wannabe crime lord who's been terrorizing the Bronx? Stephen asked. Didn't we take down his crew a while back after that whole thing with Alchemax? We did, Mark said, but he just showed up again in Thebes. What's a two-bit gangster like him doing all the way out here? Jake asked. Don't tell me, Stephen said, laughing with disbelief. He was the one who killed Apocalypse. No, at least not as far as I know, Mark said. But while we were all busy pointing fingers at each other for the crime, the Hood snuck in and stole something that Apocalypse had been protecting. The Tablet of Death and Entropy. Another stupid magic tablet, Jake grumbled. What would he want with something like that? It wasn't his choice, Mark said. He claimed that he'd been sent by a greater power, the entity that fuels his mystical abilities. He's got his own personal Khonshu? Jake asked. Who is it? Doesn't matter, Mark said. What matters is that we managed to catch him before he could escape. And when we did, he just handed over the tablet as if he wanted us to have it all along. Sounds too easy, Stephen said. What was his game? I think he knew we'd be able to commune with it, thanks to our bond with Khonshu, Mark said. And as soon as the tablet was in my hands, strange stuff started happening. Stranger than all the other crap we've been put through ever since the timeline started collapsing? Jake asked. Way stranger, Mark said. I went into some sort of trance, chanting an ancient spell I didn't even realize I knew. And then the tablet somehow channeled all of the spirit energy that's been flowing through Thebes. I could finally understand what the countless harvest souls have been screaming for. Yeah, Stephen asked. What did they want? Vengeance, Mark replied. Our specialty, Jake said with a grin. So who's got it coming to them? That's the problem, Mark continued. What the souls described didn't make any sense to me at first. They were all blaming Apocalypse for their demise. But Apocalypse never officially ascended to godhood. He may be a powerful mutant, but he was never powerful enough to commit genocide on dozens of worlds at once. Not even with that weird faith harvesting engine he built? Stephen asked. I wondered the same thing, Mark said, but Richards and T'Challa both seemed convinced that it's more of a storage device than a weapon of mass destruction. Okay, so if it wasn't Apocalypse, Jake wondered aloud, then who? I couldn't figure it out at first either, Mark said, but then the spirits started describing the tragedies that took their lives. Some say their sons were blotted out, causing endless winter. Others claim their tides violently shifted, drowning entire populations, and a handful claimed that giant chunks of rock plummeted down from the sky, delivering Armageddon. Those all sound like terrible ways to go, Stephen said, but I'm not sure we faced anyone who's got that kind of power. Yeah, we have, Jake said, his anger rising. We face him every damn day. Khonshu? Stephen gasped. You're crazy. And proud of it. Yeah, you say it. But this has his bloody fingerprints all over it. I'm not the only one who sees it. Right, Mark? Right. Mark reluctantly agreed. All of those things, eclipses, the tides, the rain of debris, seems to have something critical in common. Moons, Stephen said in disbelief. And no one knows the moon better than the bird-skulled freak we swore to serve, Jake said. He can't really be that powerful, though. Can he? Stephen asked. He can, and he is, Mark said. We already knew that. When the timelines collapsed, our Khonshu somehow joined together with a bunch of other Khonshus from other dimensions to become a unified version of himself. Because of that, his connection to lunar power has remained strong across every fractured reality. So there's no doubt in my mind that he has the power to do something like this. The question is, why would he? Khonshu usually protects innocents. Are you kidding? Jake laughed. Khonshu always protects himself first, and we've helped him get away with it for too long. When he realized that his fellow gods of the Ened were being hunted, Mark said, he fled the divine space and retreated to his temple here in Thebes. I have a feeling that he saw Apocalypse preparing his ritual to absorb the faith of unworthy gods, and instead of engaging Apocalypse in direct combat, or summoning us to do it for him, he came up with his own devious plan. I still don't buy it, Stephen said, but his followers did en masse, Jake said. On dozens of worlds, Mark continued, devoted disciples of the moon were condemned to untimely deaths, and as their lives came to an end, their faith in their god was replaced by extreme hatred. And then those angry spirits were harvested by Apocalypse's fancy engine, Jake added. Exactly, Mark said. It was designed to absorb faith in other gods and convert it into faith in Apocalypse. But instead of getting their adoration, Apocalypse ended up getting their resentment instead. And you think that's what got him killed? Stephen asked. How? Whoever is out there slaughtering gods seems to have a special interest in the very worst of them, Mark said. If they thought that Apocalypse has just caused an extinction event on a cosmic scale, then he'd instantly become their prime target, Jake finished, keeping all eyes off Khonshu. That coward, Stephen said, his hands clenching into fists. I know, Mark said. Made me question everything. I've started to doubt if any of the violence we've carried out in his name was truly just, or if we'd just been complicit in his evil schemes all along. Finally makes sense why he called us to Thebes, though, Stephen said. He wanted us to convince the other heroes to help bring the faith-harvesting engine to his temple, so that he could use it to reabsorb all those souls that spilled out when Apocalypse was murdered. That was his way of reclaiming the power he temporarily forfeited. Well, he certainly put a lot of blind faith in us, Jake smirked. Just underestimated our joint intelligence. So, what do we do? Stephen asked. We can't let Khonshu get away with this. You're right, Mark said. But the second he knows we're onto him, he'll cut us off from any power he still has left. And as awful as all of this is, if it weren't for Khonshu, we wouldn't even be alive. If it weren't for Khonshu, a lot of other people would still be alive, Jake argued. I was glad to be his fist of vengeance, when it seemed like he was at least vaguely trying to do the right thing. But this can't be excused. I say we go old school Merc on his sorry ass. We can't kill a god, Steven said. Why not? Jake asked. Someone's out there doing it already. Might as well join the fun. Nothing about this is fun, Mark said. But you're right. Can't let these innocents go unavenged. Then we do this the right way, Steven said. We work with the other heroes who are here, tell them what we know, and we figure out a plan. We're too close to this, and our faith has blinded us. But they'll be able to see the situation more clearly and help us verify the truth. Plus, we'll need their strength to help us guard against any other schemes that Khonshu might have. You really want to tell those do-gooders what Khonshu did? Jake asked, indignant. The second they know the truth, guess who they'll turn on? Khonshu's loyal avatar. Us! Do you have a better plan? Jake asked. Actually, I do, Jake replied. We forget about that stupid engine and the other heroes. We go straight to Khonshu to make him pay for what he did. It's clear his power has waned. I can't be the only one of us who's felt it. This might be our only chance to take him out. Even in a weakened state, Mark said, we would never be able to face him on our own. As much as I like to trust our allies, we don't have any solid evidence. The way they've been grilling suspects lately, I'd worry to put more heat on us than on Khonshu himself. Okay, if our idea sucks so bad, Spectre, Drake snarled, tell us what you've got. We make Khonshu confess. And when he does, we'll bring him to justice. He'll never admit what he's done, Steven said. Well, if we play our cards right, Mark replied. We stay silent for now. Then we confront him face to face once we deliver the faith harvesting engine to him. You really think the others will go along with that? Jake asked. Please. Don't give them a choice, Mark said. We convince them it's the only path to victory and the only way out of Thebes. And if they won't listen, we remove them from play. Might not win us a lot of friends. But when have we ever been worried about that? Jake agreed. If Khonshu hesitates before absorbing all the faith, Mark concluded, the truth will come out. He knows he can't risk absorbing the faith without purifying it first. Hatred would corrupt him. He's plenty corrupt already, Jake grumbled. And when we catch him in the act, Steven said, he won't be able to deny his part in all of this any longer. It's just insane enough that it might work, Jake said. And if it doesn't, at least we go down swinging. This is what you really want, Mark. Count me in. Me too, Steven added. Then we're all in agreement, Mark said. We make our stand. And this time, we're gonna have to do it together. Alright, that was Moon Knight's second lore story. It's interesting to know how they are playing in with, because like, you know, when the game launched, even though Steven Grant and Jake Lockley's signatures are here alongside Mark, they really downplay like the presence of Steven and Jake within Mark because of how, like, I mean, it's all Moon Knight's slightly confusing and complex as it is with the fact that he's got multiple personalities. But the fact that none of those personalities play a role in the game, really, like, I'm fine with it being simplified. But Steven and Jake are pretty interesting personalities of Moon Knight. Like, Steven is a bit of a businessman of sorts, I believe. In fact, if I recall, his Mr. Knight skin is... Well, Mr. Knight is like a separate personality as well, but sometimes they try to mix it with Steven in a way. And then Jake is just like... The idea is that Steven and Jake's personalities act as ways of gathering information for Mark. That way Mark then can go off on his own under Khonshu's orders once he gets that information that's needed. But sometimes Jake also is pretty violent, so if Mark is hesitant about taking extreme action, he might switch to his Jake personality and let Jake do that for him. But yeah, the other thing being is how, and I was briefly talking this, is how there was a point in the lore, and there was a voice line from Moon Knight where Moon Knight acknowledged that he had not heard from Khonshu in a while, and he was even wondering, like, what happened to him, if anything. And it took up to Season 9 here for that to finally get answered, because I think it was either in, like, Season 5 or Season 6 where Moon Knight had this new voice line with an interaction where he admitted that, yeah, he doesn't know, like, he has no information on Khonshu because he's silent at the moment. But this also doesn't paint Khonshu in a good light, and while Khonshu's always been a bit ambiguous on exactly where his alignment lies, he's usually on the side of good. If he takes more extreme measures, though. But here, he seems less to be on the side of good. But it'll all come together once I get all the gallery images. Anyway, that will do for this episode of Marvel Rivals. Join me next time as we read the Hood's lore story. That is it, and I will see you guys next time.